Rutted Review of the Day, and today is December 16th as we continue on with our advent calendar of Christmas horror movies leading up to the 25th. And today I'm taking a look at a movie that defies all manner of logic and reasoning and description, but I'm going to give it my best anyway. I am reviewing the 2015 movie Krampus: The Reckoning. Now, before I get into this review, I just kind of want to recap between all of the various, movies that I've reviewed in the past advent calendar and this advent calendar. I have reviewed so far, up until this point, 4 Krampus movies, and one of them was good. There was, the major motion picture that was released called Krampus. I've also done Mother Krampus. I've done Krampus, the Christmas Devil, and Krampus, the Devil Returns. And aside from the major release of Krampus, all of them have been absolutely god-awful terrible. Just shitty movies all around. And that is honestly where my expectations were with this one. This had the same kind of cheesy cover art. Everything about it really screamed to me that this would be an absolute god-awful watch. But it is the advent calendar. It is coming up on Christmas time, and I review horror movies, so damn it, I'm going to review this one. And here's what I found, is that surprisingly, this was a bad movie. But it wasn't a terrible movie. And it really took me by surprise. I want to make sure that I'm getting my message across clear here, because I don't want to make any kind of misgivings that this is a good movie, because it's really not. But the fact that it wasn't just tear my eyes out with the spoon terrible really took me by surprise. What this reminded me of, more than anything else, is if you've ever had a director or a writer or even a television show that you wind up really liking, but then you go back and you watch some of the earlier episodes and you see when it was just at its most rough and they still haven't fleshed things out and they still haven't gotten the practice in. That's what I felt like when I was watching this movie, is that perhaps there's some talent here. This is just kind of the rough edge cut, and it just needs some sanding down. It just needs some practice. This was written and directed by Robert Conway, and maybe Robert just needs a little bit of practice. And I was really surprised to find myself in this place. So to describe this movie, basically what we have is Dr. Rachel Stewart, who is looking after a young girl by the name of Zoe. And Zoe is in the foster care system. And her previous foster parents were, well, let's just say naughty. And upon removing the shackles from a Krampus doll, the foster parents got their comeuppance by the Krampus monster basically burning them to a crisp. And now Zoe is in the hospital not saying anything. She's basically ignoring all manner of information from doctors, and the police are flummoxed as to what happened to these folks, and she's just not saying anything. So Dr. Rachel Stewart enters in, and she is a child psychologist, a therapist, and she is tasked with getting Zoe to talk. And in this, we discover more and more about the plot. Which, basically, as far as the Krampus character goes, his relationship to Zoe, his relationship to Dr. Rachel Stewart, and so on and so forth. Now, there were 2 things that I was really expecting to not have with this movie. One was any sort of competency, and the other was any sort of effort. And that was my real complaints about Krampus, the Christmas Devil, and Krampus, the Devil Returns, especially the Devil Returns, was just how little effort was put into it, which was infuriating for me as a movie reviewer to watch somebody just phone it in so hard. Just static cameras, just absolutely terrible effects, even going so far as to, mess with blurring a phone number that they should have just dealt with in production. Watch my review of that if you want to. But regardless, I was expecting that kind of same no effort or very, very low effort capacity in this one. And what I wound up getting was a fair amount of competency and a lot of effort. This didn't have static camera movements. This actually panned and moved with the scenes and allowed for a lot of movement to flow through. As characters were engaging with things, so too was the audience engaged with it in small mannerisms of the camera, of the lighting, of the sound. The acting wasn't god-awful terrible. I would say that for the most part, all of the acting in this one was not good. But the main character of Dr. Rachel, played by Monica Engesser, was actually, I would even say, good. Monica did actually a fairly decent job playing Dr. Stewart in this one. And considering that we have so much screen time with her, I think that helped to really elevate the movie beyond terrible and right into bad. This sounds like a really weird review for me to be saying out loud, but I hope everybody kind of gets the gist of what I'm saying here. Is I was really bracing to really, really be hurting with this movie, and I wasn't. I mean, this actually had a plot. This had conflict. This had stakes. This had mystery. None of it was done very well, but it was there, and they were trying, damn it. I mean, even the effects, they even had CG for the actual Krampus character. Was it great CG? Absolutely not. But it was so much effort put into it that I have to tip my hat there, and again, I see some real promise with Robert Conway, his writing, his directing, his production efforts overall, and I'm looking forward to watching. He's done 2 more Krampus movies since this one, and I'm kind of looking forward to see how they evolve and how they get polished, because I see promise within this. I'm going to go ahead and throw up all the scores here. As always, 4 different categories, each one worth up to 25 points for a total possible score of 100 points. And I would say that every single one of these scores should be a lot lower than it is. And that's what makes this a really interesting one for me. Is this, again, this is, 48 out of 100 points. That doesn't have the mark of a good movie. That's, that's still an F by all accounts, but it's an F when I was really expecting to have homework turned in and have it basically just, nothing but crayon scribbles all over it. There were answers. There was real effort put into this one. They weren't great answers. Most of them were wrong, but it was some effort and some fledgling talent. So I guess, really, I don't have a whole lot more notes on this one. I guess what it comes down to is, would I recommend this movie? Would I recommend this movie? I don't have notes on this. I'm actually kind of asking myself this for the first time, and I'm actually kind of pondering it. If you want to watch a good movie, if you want to sit down and watch a great Christmas movie, a great Christmas horror movie, I would say probably not. But if you are a fan of horror like I am, and you kind of want to see the different levels of talent, and if you don't mind B movies, I think this is one that is worth a watch. If you are a film student, I think this is a good example of one that you should watch, to keep an eye out for all those little technical aspects that might otherwise elude other filmmakers. It's worth studying, even if it's not a movie that is worth watching for entertainment's sake. It's worth studying. It's worth introspection. It's worth discussion. This should be a conversation piece. This was a movie that is unlike any I'd ever seen, only because my expectations were so low before clicking play. And now that I've watched it, my expectations have been blown out of the water by a movie that I would say was absolutely bad. So that, I think, is about as close to a recommendation as I can give, and that is my review of 2015's Krampus: The Reckoning. I really thank you for joining me here today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. If you like this video, please click like and subscribe. If you want to support me further, my Patreon and my merchandise storefront links are below. Remember, next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and rotted.